What's up, everybody? Welcome to SWAT MMA. It's episode number 165. I am Jarrod here with Paul.
What up?
Today, we're going to be talking all about BKFC 41, their biggest event of the year, which is right around the corner. We're going to talk about the aftermath of the Davis versus Garcia fight. We're going to talk some heavyweight boxing rumors. We're going to talk a bit about one Nathaniel Diaz. We are even going to talk a little bit about the UFC. Before we get to all that, though, you know what time it is. Grab your stash, fire it up. Let's get into the weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
All right. So this week we have, well, first of all, for all the people out there, happy late 420.
Happy late 420.
So this week we have some caramel cream. This one is made by Greenleaf. It is an indica dominant hybrid crossed with old school cookies and Humboldt Reserve OG. This one's pretty solid THC content. We're coming in at 26%. Pretty solid terpene profile as well.
What's it got?
Has 18 milligrams of beta carotene. Got some humulene, limonene. So
I like it because it doesn't have the beta myrcene. It's nice.
yeah. Well, yeah, you do find that with a lot of indicas too, because that myrcene makes you fucking tired of shit.
Yeah, which I don't mind at night, but it's the middle of the day when we're recording this.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just mentioned 420. Yeah, we did have 420. Did you do anything special?
Died.
Did you?
Dude, I fucking...
Smoke yourself into oblivion?
Yeah. Just... Because I was at work all day, so when I got home finally, I was like just fucking blasted off into another place.
I didn't do much for 420, but a couple days before that, I did take my daughter and go see the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, yeah?
Dude, I gotta highly recommend if anybody's listening and actually hasn't seen it. They probably all have, the way that shit's been blowing up.
Yeah.
You know, I live out here in Summerlin, and we got 40X Theater out at Red Rock Casino.
Mm-hmm.
Which, honestly, folks, listen, and if you're in Vegas and you got time to check out a movie at the 40X, I highly recommend it. It has over 21 different seat and theater effects that go along with it. So everything from like rain and snow to fucking the smell of shit cooking, fucking flashing lights, and the chair moves like a motherfucker. So it's basically like an amusement park ride. And there's only 32. Cool. There's only 32 40X screens in the entire United States, 83 in the world.
Damn.
So I mean, you can catch a matinee show. Like we caught the Super Mario Brothers movie on there for $20 on a matinee. And it was literally the best time I've ever had at the movies. Like the movie was dope. It was 3D also, and then it was just, dude, the effects.
It's like that'd be a sick movie to see like that too, because it's got all the different little settings.
Dude, it was awesome, bro. It was really, really fun. Like when we left there, my daughter was like, "Dad, if you want to come back and see this again next week, I'm down." You know?
Yeah.
It was a really good time. I actually might go do that again. Sometimes, you know, you go to the movies and you shell out all this money and you leave and you feel kind of like, what the fuck? That was a little bit of a ripoff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were like sad it was over. Like that was well worth $20 a pop.
Yeah.
Fucking well worth it.
Fucking, what'd you think of Chris Pratt's voice?
Dude, I thought it was cool. Like the stuff they showed in the previews, it got everybody like in an uproar. Yeah. It wasn't like, that's not how his voice is in the movie. Like they took snippets of like he does this goofy voice for the Mario Brothers plumbing company.
Yeah.
Like, and the movie doesn't follow like the storyline of the game. Like they're not rescuing Princess Peach from Bowser. Like Luigi gets sucked in. Like they live in this little world. It's funny because he plays like Nintendo. Like Mario is fucking playing Kid Icarus on his old school Nintendo. It's dope. Oh, and like they have a plumbing company called Super Mario Brothers. And they talked in these funny fucking Italian accents. Like, it's me, Mario!
Yeah.
The Super Mario Brothers!
Yeah.
You know, for the commercial, right? But he doesn't talk like that in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's this funny thing, and his family gets all pissed at him because he did this little accent. And then they're like out exploring somewhere, and Luigi gets sucked down one of these green tubes that have been appearing all over the fucking city.
Yeah.
And then Mario has to go find him. So he goes down a green tube, and then like Luigi gets split off and goes to Darkland, which is where Bowser and all the Koopas are, and then Mario goes to fucking Princess Peach Kingdom. Okay. And then the movie is Mario teaming up with Princess Peach to defeat Bowser, and then Mario does that so he can get Luigi back. Fucking, but it's really awesome, dude. And they go and they get Donkey Kong to fucking help.
Oh, sick.
And so like they incorporate all of this shit from basically all the games in there, like everything from Mario Kart to the first Mario Brothers, like the course runs.
Oh, really?
The Rainbow Road on Mario Kart, like all kinds of dope
That's
shit,
fucking
dude.
cool.
It was
Yeah, I haven't
it
seen
was
it yet.
so awesome, dude.
I haven't seen it yet, and I've been waiting to see it.
Like now that I'm sitting here talking about, I'm gonna go see it again at the fucking 40X. Like I
Yeah.
am. Like I should
That's
probably
sick.
take a bit of mushrooms or something. That would be really fucking
Oh,
sick. Just to fucking trip a little bit on some
Yeah.
shroomage.
Dude,
So, which is
real.
we're right around the corner from getting decriminalized out here in Vegas, just like they have in Colorado. So
Sick.
shit. But anyways, we should probably switch into some combat sports, man.
Yeah.
I like this
Alright.
weed though.
Yeah.
Let's give a shout out to Binoid. You can get some really good CBD and Delta 9 THC products that for now are legal in all 50 states. If you go to our website and use our links, you can get 15% off your order. You'll find that at SWATMMA.com or in the description of wherever you are watching or listening to this right now.
All right. So we got a little bit of recap from this weekend. Like
Yeah, it was
to
a
get
busy
out.
weekend, dude. We had actually two
Yeah.
BKFC events, a UFC event, and one of the biggest boxing events of the year. And I don't want to talk about all that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, Dat Win won in BKFC, put on a good performance. That's about all there is to say.
Yeah.
The other one is just too much to talk about. Why don't we touch on the UFC's main event? Curtis Blades, Sergey I can't say it.
Pavlovich.
There you go. I got tongue twisted.
Tongue tied. Yeah, it was everything we said last week it would be. It was Pavlovich trying to get Blades out of there early, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, I mean, not to sound too smug here, but it's literally exactly what I said was going to happen. He's just going to come out and put him away in the first round. Can you believe that the bookmakers' odds were plus 175 on a KO?
Yeah, it's great.
By Sergey? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you pointed out last week, his average fight time over 18 fights is barely over 2 minutes. And he's lost one fight. 14 of 17 KOs, I do believe it was, something like that. It was pretty predictable. And then you got Curtis Blades, who's been knocked out by Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou. It just seemed to be a no-brainer here. He's a beast, man.
Yeah, dude. That dude's got hands. He fucking put it on Blades from the fucking bell.
Dude, he makes good use of his jab.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that his jab is spectacular. It's just he makes good use of it.
He has like a stabbing jab, though. You know what I mean? Where he like kind of uses it as a rangefinder. Like he's not throwing it from the hip like quick. He's kind of like leaving it out there and just like stabbing you with it, just to like keep you at bay. And then he hits you with big shots.
And he made very nice use of uppercuts, which if you're a long-time listener to the show, I'm fucking harping on uppercuts all the time. Jabs and uppercuts, actually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was like kind of a hybrid uppercut, though. It was like he would like throw it as a uppercut and kind of hook it also at the end. It was interesting.
Nice. It was nice. And so he puts Blades away. He makes some fucking calls for a title shot, which he might have earned if he wants to sit out and wait it. But yeah. I don't really. That's a long wait, dude, because we don't even have this Stipe John Jones fight signed yet, and we don't know if there's going to be a rematch, if something crazy were to happen there. You just don't know.
I want to say this, but I'll say it just because of what we're talking about here. If Stipe doesn't play ball, or John doesn't play ball about the Stipe fight, they could possibly try to push that fight with Sergey to fight John in the interim.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people going on right afterwards, and Matt Brown being the loudest one I heard, saying it. He's like, I'll say it now, he beats John Jones. And I just have I'm flashing back to Cyril Gane. I mean, remember how he revolutionized heavyweight striking? John Jones had never seen anything like him. John Jones couldn't handle that shit. He couldn't handle Dominic Reyes. How's he going to handle the best striker the heavyweight division's ever fucking seen? Well, I mean, it just seems like this guy's pretty much the same. I mean, he's bigger.
Yeah,
he's taller. He fights a little bit differently, but he's just a striker. Mm-hmm. Very good at it. But you think John Jones is going to stand there with like Curtis Blades did and just not move and just take them shots?
No, yeah, no.
It's not going to happen.
That's not necessarily what I'm saying. I'm just saying that And the way the UFC has been running things when it comes to the heavyweight division, they're on to the
No,
next
you're
one
right.
team.
You're right. I couldn't help but notice everybody suddenly being like, "Oh, he's going to beat John Jones." Like, no, he's not.
No,
He might fight him. And you're
Yeah.
right. They could use that as leverage in the
Yeah.
Stipe shit.
Because they've
thing
done that
is,
to
though-
Stipe a lot in the past. They did that when Stipe was going to fight DC. They did that when Stipe was going to,
Yeah.
literally every time DC was, or not DC, but DC and Stipe were going to fight, they held it over Stipe's head.
Yeah, they did.
Like they had that Derek Lewis fight, like that was in between him and Stipe running it back because he didn't want to play ball.
Dana doesn't like Stipe because Stipe is just a better man than Dana White.
Good on him.
I'm just talking. I don't know why. I'm just saying. I don't know, dude. I don't know why they don't like him, but they don't.
Yeah, there's some weird dynamic between them. Between his, I don't know if it's his management team in the UFC or just Dana and Stipe, because I feel like that kind of happens when you talk about like MMA, like as a whole. It's really like, and I guess sports in general too, though. But like sometimes your relationship with your management and the promotion you fight for can kind of dictate where your career goes. And
Positively and negatively.
yeah, like, and I you kind of can see parallels throughout, like other sports, whether it be like football, basketball, all those other, where like people are more representing themselves. You know what I mean? And that's even something I've heard Mike Tyson say. He's like, you don't need a manager, you just need a lawyer. Like you need you and a lawyer because you to hit the negotiating table. Like as a fighter, sometimes you have to. I just feel like sometimes they get like the short end of the stick with some of these management like teams and stuff, that because we've kind of seen it in MMA. Like when you talk about like Dominance MMA and all these other like management organizations, they kind of have in some cases, like especially when you talk about like World Series of Fighting, like dictated how fights were going to happen and who was going to get pushes. Like it was like the fucking WWE or something.
Yeah, exactly, and that happens in the UFC as well. I mean, Ali gets his way in the UFC.
Yeah.
Like I was just going to say, what you're saying is, I think, is true. And I would say, would it be this way if Stipe was represented by Ali?
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
If Stipe was represented by Ali, I bet he'd be gazed upon much more favorably.
Yeah. Because of, and it all goes back to that whole antitrust lawsuit. Because fucking, he was willing to go on the stand for the UFC, like as a witness to
and essentially lie. I mean, in many people's opinions, he fucking just lied about shit.
Yeah.
God, that case is never going to be over, dude.
No.
That's been going on basically since I moved out here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's no end in sight. Like,
yeah,
goddamn, Nate Corey is going to be like 60 fucking 5 years old when this shit's over.
Well,
but anyways,
yeah.
So they could force that with John. With who knows? But Sergey, he definitely fucking made a statement.
Yeah,
he looked hella good. Like I'm not saying that he sucks or anything, dude. I think he beats anybody not named John Jones.
Yeah,
like, unless he somehow. I was very disappointed in Curtis Blade's takedowns. Like, what the fuck were you thinking, dude? I don't know. I don't know. His game plan didn't seem to be there. Like, his fight IQ didn't seem to be what I would approach this fight with.
Yeah.
You think he would have really been looking for the double leg, not to stand and trade with this guy. But some fighters, like you said, they get it in their head. Like you mentioned it before the show, like these, especially at heavyweight, it seems you get a few knockouts and you start really thinking you're more than you got. I mean,
it's not that you're more than you got, but that you can hang with the top dogs when it comes to like guys who have, grew up striking their whole life versus a guy who's like maybe a grappler at any level, whether it be jiu-jitsu, wrestling, anything like that, judo. And then you come to the UFC, you knock a couple guys out, and you're like, well, fuck it, dude, I'm a striker now. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like that happens. Yeah, that happens, and you're really not. And in this game, that's how you get freaking exposed. And I think that's kind of what's happened to Blades. Is
it's the worst possible loss for him because now it just puts more of a shine on the Ngannou and the Derek Lewis knockouts now.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, that's his thing now. He
can't fight strikers. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about boxing's big weekend. We finally made it through to King Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Tank Davis. catch weight of 136. Both guys come in at 135, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest fight ever. For this year.
Yeah.
Unless there's something else happens at the end of the year, which we'll talk about later. But, we see Tank come through and put on just a hell of a performance and get the knockout from a liver shot in the 7th round.
Yeah.
And just, he got a 2nd round knockdown.
Yeah, very interesting game plan on Ryan Garcia's side, because he was doing some of the right things, but I just kind of was dumbfounded at like his level of unnecessary aggression while he was in there. Like, I don't know if it was the shit talk, I don't know if it was the weight cut. He didn't have as much as, like, maybe he knew that the later the fight went, the less of a chance he had because he was so sucked down or something. But he just kind of went in there and was just winging some shots, and Tank was just kind of laughing in his face.
He came out and was just
Yeah.
quite the aggressor, and this is well before he could have figured out any timing or any moves of Tank's.
Yeah.
He just
went for it.
And I remember when he started doing it, I texted you. I was like, "Hey, Poe, look around and find out. You're going to keep chasing this dude.
Yeah.
He is going to unload on you." And yep, I mean, it's no surprise.
Mm-hmm.
He flattens him with a fucking punch, sends Garcia skidding onto the canvas.
Yeah. He did get up pretty quick though.
No, he did. He got up fast. Like he wasn't like KO'd.
He just caught his ass flush.
No, he just got knocked down.
Yeah.
And he got knocked down hard.
Yeah. Like, and,
Garcia tried to make use of that check hook, and Tank was so well prepared. He just kept going so low.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was almost like Tank found a way to use the height disadvantage that we thought would favor Garcia to his favor instead. And every time that check hook came, his head wasn't there. He was just dipping underneath it.
Dipping and then
that's
landed good.
That's all that dipping and going so low led to the liver shot.
Yeah.
That was just a devastating blow.
Well, and I think one thing that he wasn't getting a lot of credit for, because one thing with Gervonta Davis is he doesn't throw a lot of punches like round by round, but he was working to the body like undercover. Like when they showed at the end of the fight that he had landed 35 body shots, I was like, really? I don't remember anything but the fucking final one. You know what I mean? But like he's just sneaky. He gets in there, kind of lets his opponent make the mistakes, and then he just has every answer for it. And I really felt like that's what this fight was. There was a lot of mistakes being made by Garcia, and Tank just being like, dude, you're not ready for this. Bop, bop, hitting with just like, sitting back watching. And that's kind of something I thought could have been his undoing going into this fight, because I did think Ryan was going to fight a lot more like intelligent. It just didn't feel like he fought very intelligently.
It seems like, to me, in my opinion, that he kind of took the narrative of Tank being the slow starter and taking a few rounds to figure his opponent out. And like he wanted to play that to his advantage and go out and get the early knockout. And it seemed like he was really pressing that in round 2. In my opinion, that's what he was doing. He was like, I'm going to put him away here.
Yeah.
But he seemed like he mixed that with a lack of respect for Tank's fucking counterpunching and that power that he's got. Maybe he decided since he's bigger, maybe you just got to taste it before you fucking really know.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I do think we do have to talk about the natural like progression of this fight as well. Is like, what are maybe some of the reasons behind why he came out like that? Is I do think that the 10-pound rehydration clause. I don't think he was as fresh as he normally is when he got in there, and that's something he alluded to at the end of the fight. He's like, I'm not trying to make any excuses, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I felt 100%.
The same thing Connor said when he was in Garcia's fucking locker room afterwards. Said the same thing about see it again without the rehydration clause.
And we see it. I watched on Twitter. There was a guy who had broke down like his whole like weigh-in from his last fight versus now.
Yeah.
And it was like his jawline was sucked in. He like had this weird dent in his like freaking abdomen. Like you could just tell his body was just drained of water.
Yeah.
And not to say that, like, it's the reason he lost.
No,
but
dude, he agreed to that contractually. Yeah. That was well stipulated. Not like it was some surprise shit at the end. Like,
but I do
still thought he could do it. And I got to give credit to the money team for, dude, they know how to put these things together to give their fighter the best advantage. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, Tank is a much smaller dude than Ryan Garcia. Like that is how you make up for that a little bit. You know what I mean? There's an argument to be made there that it's more of a more fair thing, but whatever. It was what it is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like Tank was getting boxed up and then landed the power shot that saved him. Like, no, it was quite the opposite actually.
Yeah.
Tank's fight IQ looked really good to me.
Yeah.
Like, he's a very talented fighter. Like, he's not just power.
Yeah.
He's got a great fight IQ.
I think that's something that's really developed in his last like few fights too. Because like earlier in his career, I felt like he was just like that big puncher. Everyone was like knew it was like when that fool lands, you're fucked.
Yeah, like fights like, he was behind and he did win because of the power, but this wasn't one of them.
Yeah, this is one where he just was very skillful in there.
He really was.
But honestly, though, man, Ryan did land some good shots on him. It wasn't like yeah, like it wasn't. Although it was a great performance by Tank, like Ryan was in there.
He just run over him or nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, he knocked him down. He outboxed him, but it wasn't like no. Garcia's a great fighter. He looks good.
He's still at the top. That's my thing. Is like I feel like in boxing, losses are just seen so damningly that I don't think this is one that Ryan Garcia should take like a huge, downward trend over.
This could be something similar to Canelo losing to Mayweather. You know, it's a thing. It happens, but then you can go on and have a great career still. Yeah. You came across somebody better who was older. Took it to you,
more skilled. I think we really saw the difference was like Gervonta Davis just looked so much more calm in there. Ryan looked like he's like, this is my moment. I'm already, all the shit that's going on outside of what's going on in there. I gotta take him out. Like, I do think the shit talk got to him too. Like, because that was a big thing in the shit talk was like, I'm knocking you out early. I'm putting you out early, and like he's such a big like social media guy and all that he was trying to do that shit. Like, because you were right, that second round, he was fucking just throwing. Like, and sometimes he'd land, but sometimes you'd be like, bro, what the fuck?
I mean, it could have worked out. I mean, if he
got
knocked
Tank out,
we'd have been like, oh, shit.
Yeah. But when he got knocked down, though, remember it was he threw one hook, and then Tank just, like, stayed down, and he threw two just hooks that just hit nothing, was not even near the target. And he put so much into both of them. And it was almost like a video game, bro, where he like pressed X too many times. Like
Tank saw it. It's crazy because in the slow mo, you can see Tank see the fucking opening coming, and he fucking smirks.
Yeah.
Like he's such a G. He's fucking like, oh shit, here it is, and he fucking floors him. Like, I thought that was dope. I love modern fucking cameras. You can capture these moments.
Yeah. I saw it in the broadcast. In the broadcast, I saw him smirk. He said,
"Whoop." That shit was sick. And I gotta give it up to him, man. Like I thought afterwards, like. I don't know. He just came across as very sincere, like a nice dude.
Yeah.
Like he was respectful. He still managed to be humble while a little bit braggadocious. He was like absolutely fucking right on the face of boxing, but he didn't come across like a prick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
he's real soft spoken, really. Like he's not like a super loudmouth kind of guy.
Yeah, I liked him a lot through this thing, dude. I came out a bigger fan than before when I went in. I've always been a little hesitant being a fan of Tank's just because I don't really like his connection to Mayweather.
Yeah,
I'm not.
He's kind of had a little trouble in this.
Yeah, and he says, and I'm just like, I don't know about this dude. Like, I'm no doubt he's a good fighter and etc. I just don't know if I'm like, that means I'm a fan.
Yeah,
of the whole package here. But he definitely, I just liked it. I liked the whole thing. So I like this shit talk before the fight. I think all that's necessary and fun.
He's pretty good at that too.
Afterwards, when you're like sincerely respectful, not just saying the words when you clearly don't mean it.
Yeah,
I thought it was good, man.
So like this what begs the question though. At this weight class where you have so many talented guys, where do you think he goes next? And
dude, he's got a lot of options. Haney, Lomachenko, fucking.
I want to see him and Shakur
Stevenson. That's what I was going to say next.
Shakur Stevenson, I think, is the best of all of them.
Bro. I'm excited by any of those fights.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like also Garcia's not out of the mix either, because Garcia can go fight any of those guys next too.
Yeah, he can. No, he's not really hurt by this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's taking a dent.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
But that shit happens.
His next fight's real important though.
Yeah.
Like I would say he shouldn't leap into a gigantic name next. He needs to get a win, get a W, and then just get people forgetting a little bit about this. Because you want to take a risk of 2 L's in a row fighting 2 top tier guys.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Just be smart about it. Get a good opponent this next time. Get the win.
He should fight the guy that Cruz that went to decision with fucking Tank.
Isaac Cruz.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be bad. I don't know. Isn't he a much lighter as well?
I don't know. It's all those guys like bounce all over that shit. So I never really can tell. Like there's
5-pound increments.
Yeah,
What
there's
is
like
much lighter.
Because Garcia does the same thing. He bounced all over the place. Tank bounced all over the place. Tank's missed weight, like literally been stripped of his titles or missed weight in the past. So it's like, and then same thing with like Lomachenko is literally all over the place, fucking. Because they're all in like a similar size, so I feel like they all will like cut to wherever the best fight's at for them, you know.
Well, it's the best thing for boxing that this fight got made and that it delivered. There's no controversy. There's no crazy fucking draw. It's no like just nothing. It just came out. It delivered.
Good fight.
Yeah, it pulled through. Now let's talk a little bit more about some rumors because boxing's got a lot going on, man. We had the negotiations for Usyk Fury fall through.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of noise and blame going around. But there was also this rumor that seemed kind of solid because it was coming from like Frank Warren, which to me lent it a little bit. There's just this rumor that there was that a lot of the reason it fell through with this massive offer came through from the Middle East for a fight at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then since then, Anthony Joshua, I knew it as soon as I said it. AJ kind of alluded to this monster card in Saudi Arabia as well, where he might be fighting, or the Middle East, not necessarily Saudi. But what we're talking about here is Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, and the co-main being AJ versus Wilder. And so that's a rumor that came around. And also in the same breath, we've got Tyson Fury defending against most likely Andy Ruiz, January 22nd at Wembley.
Jesus. So
which if you just look at the WBC rankings makes a little bit of sense as he was going to be named a mandatory before this whole thing happened. And then it kind of got cooled off.
Yeah, and they're not going to fight till next year in January though.
No, July.
Oh,
did I say January?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. No, I meant July. July this year, this summer.
Okay.
Wembley. And then the winner, obviously, if you're thinking it's going to be Fury, would then go on to fight at that massive card in December against Usyk with AJ and Wilder being right there.
Dude, fucking Fury's gonna fucking murder Andy Ruiz on the fucking mic, dude. It's gonna be bad. Like Ruiz doesn't really talk shit like that. Fury's gonna tear him up in the shit talk. He's probably gonna call him like a fat fuck and shit like that, and like he's going for that shit for sure. Like he's going after him.
It'll probably be like,
I'd be very curious.
I'm better than you because I used to be a fat fuck, and now look at me, and you're still just a fat fuck.
You won the title, and then you got fat. What the fuck you doing?
So who knows? But I think,
feel like you would bully Andy Ruiz too.
I mean, yeah. Andy's hard to figure out since he won the title.
Well,
he had that just shit show against fucking AJ, and he came out humongous. And he comes back, and he beats Ortiz, and now here we are.
He beat Areola too.
Yeah, that's right.
Areola.
I suppose I feel like I'm 12 still, but it's funny. I don't care.
It's so funny. But no, I feel like that's kind of the problem with Ruiz though. Is I feel like he has up and down performances, which like kind of it just makes me sometimes feel like he's not that elite, but then he definitely is. Like he has elite tendencies, but he just like sometimes he's sloppy as fuck. He does. Like he can put on an elite performance from time to time, but I don't know if he's like a top dog. Like I don't even think him and Fury would even be a fight. Like I think Fury would box his head off.
Yeah, especially if Fury knows the end goal is this big thing in the fucking Mideast.
Yeah.
He's not going to take it lightly. He'll murder that kid. I'm sorry, that wouldn't even be competitive.
No, I don't think so.
I think he'd go out there and just.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad about the matchup. It makes sense if you look at the WBC ranking. It's not like egregious. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Not, it is
No, it's a good fight.
And there's a chance he might fight Zhang since he beat Parker as well. There's fucking talk about that. Or is it? Or did he beat Joe Joyce? I didn't even watch.
He beat Joyce.
Yeah, Joyce. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
But I think the much more likely bet would be Andy.
Yeah.
Just
I think
better
Andy
name
sells
value
better,
there.
probably. Yeah.
Exactly. But if we get this big heavyweight card down at the end, but I mean, dude, it's boxing. Try to get the shit to work out.
It's a dream.
It was all a dream.
Yeah. Well, then Wilder didn't he just leave his TV deal with Showtime? So now isn't he like a free agent?
Yeah. And we've still got Eddie Hearn out here talking about fucking Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
So I mean, and there's room there for that fight. I mean, Tyson Fury's taking a fight. Wilder could fight Ngannou, which for Wilder would be a pretty safe fucking fight.
Yeah, he probably not.
And speaking of that, here's another rumor that came out. Floyd Mayweather was talking about Francis Ngannou. Did you catch that?
What?
Well, he was talking about him for Mayweather Promotions. He was like, straight up, he was like, we'd sign Francis.
Yeah.
And get him in the fucking big fight. He's like, Francis got a lot of power. I think we could do something with him.
That'd be cool. That'd be a perfect. If he wanted to make the maximum amount of money, I would go talk to those guys because they know what the fuck they're doing.
In my opinion, if Francis had any sense, before Floyd finished fucking talking, he was like, "Get me Mayweather Promotions on the phone.
Yeah.
Schedule me a meeting."
Right.
Because Francis is all about getting paid. He's not trying to fight for the next. He's not gonna have 30 fucking fights. He needs to make a big splash. And say what the fuck you want about Floyd Mayweather as a human being. That dude knows how to make money. Mm-hmm. Mayweather Productions is a team, the money team. We were just talking about Gervonta, dude. Look how well his career's been managed. It's been managed well.
Yeah.
Like he got the rehydration clause. He got the shit he needed, to kind of make sure he was safe. Like they matched fights up well. Mm-hmm. Look how well Conor and that shit did. I mean, they knew what they were doing, man.
Yeah.
Like,
for real. And so I don't know. I actually would rather see this heavyweight like super card with AJ Wilder than Fury Usyk.
Imagine they do this. Well, Ngannou would be like a fill-in fight in between.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Something for a stay busy for Wilder to be pretty safe in I think their eyes. Okay, but imagine that Ngannou knocks out Wilder, and so they decide to throw him on this fucking card against like AJ.
Or they threw him in against Fury. Because if he knocked out Wilder, bro, they would put him with Fury straight up. There's no chance.
That would be wild.
He wouldn't knock Wilder out.
Nah, dude.
Although, dude, that's actually like a perfect opponent for him, though. Because Wilder's not really a traditional boxer.
No, he's not good. Wilder is not going to come in and box up.
Yeah.
Traditionally, not the way Tyson Fury would.
Mm-hmm. And like he's kind of the way Francis learned how to strike is kind of the way he did. He just like knew he had crazy power, so he threw strikes the way he felt knocked people out.
Yeah, exactly. He was a latecomer to boxing.
Yeah. So I don't know, dude. That actually could be more interesting than people are giving it credit for.
Oh, that's my favorite of the mix is Wilder and Ngannou. I think it makes more sense.
Yeah.
But in like a regular boxing, no 4-ounce glove bullshit like Fury was talking about. We're just talking about straight up boxing. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
One thing he's not going to get though is that $100 million, dude. Like, come on. You're not getting paid $100 million, dude. It's not happening.
Yeah, BKFC's David Feldman came out at BKFC 41's big presser. They asked him about signing Ngannou, and he alluded to, $100 million ask.
Yeah. Like, what?
Which is nutty. I don't know if Feldman's a promoter. Look, he's trying to get headlines here. But I also didn't see Ngannou coming out and being like, no.
And maybe that was like some lofty, like he could have exaggerated the number.
It could have been. Let's say he said 50.
Even 50 is crazy. That's crazy, bro. just to like kind of break it down for people that don't understand what you're saying when you say that $100 million is Francis Ngannou is asking for you to promote him, set the fight up, and then pay him $100 million just to fight. I'm just gonna let everyone in on a little secret here. Nobody gets paid $100 million just to fight.
Oh, that
Nobody.
people heard that money from Conor and Floyd, but they didn't get that check for just the fight.
Yeah, they got about 15 to fight, which is a lot. 15's a fuck ton of money. That's
Yeah.
a lot of money. But then what they sold on the back end, and then Mayweather also being in part of the production team that put the broadcast together, sold the seats, and sold the tickets, that
Yeah, Mayweather gets
sells the
hot
pay
dogs,
per view,
everything.
everything. And then Connor on the other side too put his little team together, and like in that time partnered with the UFC, and they got their piece of
And
how
he got
everything
special
got
endorsement deals just for that fight, and all that
Exactly.
gets thrown in and to make that big number.
So when people hear that, oh, Floyd Mayweather gets $100 million a fight, yeah, he gets $100 million from Mayweather Promotions. He doesn't get $100 million just to go out
It's
and
not the fight
throw
purse.
hands.
Yeah.
It's not the fight purse.
No,
People get that so mixed up sometimes. It's your fight purse versus what you're really making could be two way different numbers. And everybody, like, even some of these fighters are like, I should get paid $100 million. Well, then go start your own fucking promotion, because
Yeah.
that's what all these guys who are getting paid $100 million are doing. Like even Fury. Fury's like biggest his biggest purse has been 38. That
Yeah.
was a couple in his last fight, I think it was. Or
Yeah.
2 fights ago or some shit. And that was because of some record-setting like bid from a different promotion. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like these
A
fights.
lot of that's coming from the site fee money. They're using the entire
Yeah.
fucking site fee money to fucking pay the purse for
Mhm.
Fury, these monster fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like these people just don't understand the difference between what someone's getting when they're the fucking biggest draw, or versus someone who's just getting paid to fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the big draw who has their own promotion and all that shit, and everything is centered around them, not only on the media side but financially, because sometimes also when Mayweather has put on some of these cards, people don't talk about it, but like sometimes it's an L. Like it's an L. He still gets paid $100 million because he's just the fighter getting paid. But
Yeah,
his
'cause he's-
company as a whole sometimes takes an L on some of those like fights at the end of his career. And even like a couple months ago when he was out in England doing that exhibition, like people were like kind of like, whoa, there was like 5 people in the
Yeah,
crowd.
that shit bomb.
Yeah, and
But-
like that's part of the game though.
And that's where, you know, in rounding out this topic here is a final example where Nate Diaz is being smart with the Jake Paul fight, because he's doing something completely different than every other one of Jake Paul's former opponents,
Yeah.
in that is Real Fight Inc. is the co-promoter of this along with MVP.
Yeah.
And that's, if those that don't know, is the company that Nate formed shortly after before he left the UFC as a fight promotion company.
Mm-hmm. And then another thing that's smart that Nate did is signing this fight with Jake Paul means that it's going to be on ESPN, because Jake Paul is under the PFL banner now, so everything he does is on ESPN now. So it's just like ways that he is, I'd say just a degree away from the money he was making in the UFC, and maybe even more.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of Nate, real quick, did you see him choke out that Logan Paul lookalike at the Misfits boxing? Dude, he got into it with that Chase Demore piece of shit. Fucking, for those of you who don't know why he's a piece of shit, he fought earlier on the card a dude named Stevie Knight, a YouTuber with no combat fight experience, who, he got in there in the boxing and, like, he knocked this Stevie Knight dude out because Knight, like, in a classic move by people who don't really have combat fight experience, he turned his back and tried to kind of like walk away after he got clocked, and then so he exposed the whole side of his head, and Demore just hit him clean on the side of the fucking dome, like, and knocks him unconscious, and then stands over him MMA style and hits him like 6 fucking times.
Jesus.
While he's on the mat and out in a boxing match, dude. So like Knight's fucking team jumps over, he gets disqualified, Knight gets the win, and then oh, we're back. Okay. That was weird. You know that little bleep or little glitch there, folks? We're good. So he whoops up on that, what's that dude? Paul Bama or some shit, I don't know his name.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Chris Villa's fight, and Chase Demore gets into it with Nate. Nate turns up and beans him with a water bottle. All right, so then afterwards, this is all in New Orleans. Afterwards, there's some kind of brawl, involving that Demore dude and this Logan Paul lookalike, who we can see video, right? He comes up to Nate, and Nate's backing up. We don't see exactly what happens. But when it comes back, Nate's got him in a fucking chokehold, knees him in the stomach, and drops him cold on the concrete.
Dude, bust his fucking dome piece open.
Yeah, left his head bloody from hitting the fucking pavement.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Nate really thought that was Logan Paul.
There's a possibility that he looked a lot like him, although he was a lot skinnier.
Dude, knowing Nate Diaz, like in the Diaz brothers, if he knew he was like fighting his brother and he saw that fool rolling up, like they're just gonna scrap him and then ask questions later. And I feel like that's could be what's going on here.
Dude, you know, in the midst of and this is all while fight. It's not like he just walked up to him randomly. Like, this is while fights are erupting all around. Like, this is a melee that's going on.
Yeah.
People are fighting everywhere. Yeah. Like, shit's being thrown, fists are being thrown.
There was like chairs getting thrown.
Nate is trying to leave the situation, is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this dude is aggressively approaching Nate. Then the camera shifts a little bit so we don't see them come together. But when they come back into view, he's got his arms around Nate's head, and Nate's got that standing guillotine on him.
Dude, and like after Nate drops him on his skull, and like fucking everyone is just like, "Oh shit, it's over." it's like all the fights like stop at the same time.
Yeah, people looked over at that and
they're like, "Oh fuck."
Oh, this is people can actually fight through here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's real people around. Oh,
Nate Diaz is choking people out. Fucking, let's get out of here.
So that was pretty wild. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. That was just pretty wild.
Yeah, super wild. And I don't know. Like,
fucking Connor loved it. He was sending all kinds of tweets of support to Nate. He was like, "Oh, that knee. Oh, that chokehold. The clinch." It's like, Nate's on a rampage. I love it.
Dude, because honestly, one thing about the Diaz brothers is like, they ain't taking no shit from nobody, dog.
Dude, you're not going to approach them in the middle of a fucking fight and be aggressive in the streets.
Like, anywhere. They don't give a fuck. It's on site anywhere. It doesn't matter where they are. Like, they'll scrap you in a fucking government building.
There's people trying to say that, oh, Nate's going to get sued. He's going to lose all his money. Like, I don't think so, man. There was a street fight erupting around, and you aggressively approached a fucking professional fighter with your hands up.
Yeah, and not only that, like, the fact that he was like, it's not like Nate was just choking him and he was like had his hands and like was like, "Oh, stop." No, this dude was actively trying to fight him back. They were both fighting. It was a fighting.
Yeah, and it looks bad because the guy's head hit the concrete, but it wasn't like Nate stood there and stomped him or did some horrible thing where it's like, "Oh, there's no, dude, he could have punched him, he could have fucked him up even more. He just left him there."
It was
slept him.
I would say it was a mutually agreed upon scrap.
Yeah, I would say so too, but it was pretty interesting, man.
People just think because you're famous, you can sue them for anything, even if you're doing the wrong.
People are dumb.
And in some cases, shit happens, but is it right? No.
Well, let's circle into some fucking real fights, dude. We got bare knuckles' biggest event ever coming up on is Saturday, April 29th. 5 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're out here in Vegas listening to us, it's going to be 8 o'clock in the East Coast. And it's crazy because this BKFC 41, I mean, for those that might not have heard, it's their biggest. It's bigger than both Knucklemania events combined. Really.
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest names ever who have been in the BKFC headlining pretty much the whole main card. Yeah. And there was actually more that had, unfortunately, had to get canceled.
I'm going to fire up this next fucking joint here. And let's talk about, before we even get to the fights, like, I mean, listen, it's headlined, but we got Platinum Mike Perry versus Luke Rockhold as the headliner. We got Chad Mendez versus Eddie Alvarez as the co-headliner. And then in the number 3 spot, we got Christine Faria defending her title against Beck Rawlings. Then we've got a host of other fighters, including Chris Camozzi, it's solid fights all the way down. But those top 3, Ben Rothwell, did he fall off the card?
Yeah, he fell off the card. He was supposed to fight the guy who knocked out Greg Hardy.
Yeah, we had Ben Rothwell, but he'll be just put on another card. Even with that loss, this is still a monster card. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that not only are these, former UFC guys, but these are not over the hill fighters for the most part at all. These are very active, and these are humongous names. This is that Triller money coming into effect for BKFC right here. And before we talk about the individual fights, let's talk about what rides on the success of this card for BKFC. And is it already a success? Is just putting this on make it a success? Because they're also selling it as a pay-per-view at $50. Which, for those of you paying attention, is the same price of Game Bread Boxing 4. And this is a far better card than Game Bread fucking Boxing 4. I mean, no disrespect to George's business efforts, but this is real shit. I think it's a great deal at $50.
Yeah, it's a very interesting card.
Is it a success already just putting it on? It's just regardless of what happens, it's already a huge win for BKFC?
I think getting these names into your talent pool is a success to begin with. And they do have to go out and deliver, I do think, just because everybody has to deliver.
Who is their biggest signee before this would be Paige Van Zandt, just on name value alone, right? Not fighting skills, name value. Paige is super well known.
Yeah.
She flopped, but they got her.
Yeah.
And it was a win for them when they signed her.
Yeah.
These are bigger names than her.
Way bigger names than her. Like different universes.
And these are people can throw shade on her overall fight skills. No one is doubting the fight skills of any of these four men. And I mean, Pereira versus Rawlings is top as it gets.
Yeah.
BKFC as well. But we're just talking about these the main and co-main right now.
Yeah, and kind of like what you alluded to before. Also, these are guys who have chose to leave the UFC and try this. Like, because Mendez, he, although was retired, he was still under UFC contract, and he found a way to be able to fight in the BKFC. And if you're Chad Mendez, you could very easily have gone back, and because he was one of those guys who was always at the top of the heap. And when he retired, it was against losing to Alexander Volkanovski, who's fucking number 2 pound for pound in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so it's not like he was ever like out.
Dude, Perry, Rockhold, and Mendez could all be fighting in the UFC right now
Still,
if they wanted to be.
Exactly, yeah.
Like
even Alvarez too.
Alvarez, I mean, he's been off in other promotions, but he could probably come back if he chose to. But that one could be maybe argued a little bit, but I don't think the other three could be. I mean, they could all have chosen to stay.
Yeah.
They just chose to leave. And this is just getting these guys here adds a measure of legitimacy to Bare Knuckle and to BKFC. So I think it's a massive win just getting them.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, oh, so-and-so needs the money. Oh, this old retired dude has to come back and fight Bare Knuckle now. BKFC taking advantage of his ass. This isn't Diego Sanchez. That a lot of people try to say that these are real fighters that could have fought in the number 1 promotion in the world. Instead, they're like, we're coming here and doing this.
Yeah.
So they have to be getting paid good, and B, they think it's legit enough themselves. And I don't see why it's not. I get tired of this argument. The whole argument is based on the fact that they're not wearing gloves.
I think it's
and these same people, you're overlooking the fact in MMA that they use elbows and knees and shins and feet. There's no fucking padding there.
Yeah.
It's way harder than your fists, people. Way harder.
It's just superficial. That's why. Like, it's all superficial cuts.
Right.
Like, and people are all
But anyways.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Win is a wash?
I think it's a win for sure. I mean, like I kind of alluded to before, I do think they have to deliver, but it is a win to have them in the organization.
I don't know how they don't deliver, because we're not sponsored by BKFC. I have nothing to gain. I think every fucking BKFC card I've ever watched delivers.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it delivers with a bunch of fucking no names I've never heard of.
Yeah.
All the way up to the top guys who have a lot more skill.
Yeah.
I've never been disappointed. I've never been like, well, this is a huge waste of fucking my time.
That's true.
Every time I'm like, God damn, this is fun. And at the higher levels, it's very skilled. Dude, let's talk about Perry. Let's just start at the top. Perry Rockhold. I mean, you got a lot of people in MMA. We'd clearly be picking Luke Rockhold here.
Yeah, but also you have to kind of take into account Mike Perry's bare knuckle experience.
Yeah, he's 2-0 against top. Dude, he beat fucking MVP.
Yeah.
Bare knuckle.
Well, not only that, he just like it seems like this is the kind of sport that was made for him and his fighting style. Like I feel like this was like in the UFC, this was every bit of his fighting style that was his best. When people would be standing there and bang and get like, fucking just trade. Like that's what he's good at.
He
He's
took
good
on
at
Julian
getting in
Lane
the
in his first BKFC
Mhm.
fight, which that name may not carry respect in MMA.
Yeah.
It does in bare knuckle. Julian Lane is a very seasoned veteran, a very, very, very tough first fight for anybody. Like skill in BKFC comes from experience in the vast majority of the time.
Yeah.
And Julian Lane had like 9, 10 fights bare knuckle.
And I really thought that in the MVP fight, the difference was how good at bare knuckle boxing Mike Perry was.
Yes, got a natural talent for it.
Yeah.
Now Rockhold's got a way bigger size advantage, and we have no idea how his striking is going to adapt into bare knuckle. It's very interesting to me to see. He's got like 7 inches on reach.
Yeah, I think this could be a dangerous fight for Mike Perry.
So we're
Though
talking 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. Okay,
we've seen Rockhold drop a lot of people, but one thing about Luke Rockhold,
6'3", 77-inch reach for Rockhold.
one thing we have seen with Luke Rockhold though is he does get a bit chinny sometimes.
Yeah, he can. He can get KO'd,
Yeah.
and he's not a young man.
Mm-mm.
But now his chin held up with Paulo Costa fucking
Yeah.
smashing it.
That's true.
So it's not like he's got a glass jaw here, or Costa would have.
No, I'm not saying it's a glass
No,
jaw.
I know you're not. I'm just saying, let's be clear.
Yeah.
But he's definitely got a suspect chin.
Yeah, he has the. It's not even an idea like he's gonna get flatlined or something, but I just mean like in bare knuckle when you talk about boxing and everything, with the scoring, if you get dropped, that's a 10-8. This isn't UFC where you can get dropped and get back up and still it's a 10-9 round, like
And win the round.
and win the
that
round.
happened
Yeah,
over the weekend.
yeah. So it's like
Crazy to me.
you got to know what you're doing in there, and I do think that, like I said before, that Perry's just naturally going to have that advantage because he's been in there already.
And his last fight being against MVP, who's 6'3" as well, I
Mhm.
do believe, and also a dynamic striker. Luke Rockhold is a very dynamic striker.
The only difference I feel like Luke Rockhold's going to have that MVP did not have is just the natural physical strength. Luke Rockhold's a strong motherfucker. We've seen him take down some elite like wrestlers and grapplers in the UFC. We've seen him, that's where I feel like the difference is going to be. Is like even MVP to a certain standard is not on Luke Rockhold's level. Like this is a whole nother level that even Perry never saw in the UFC
No,
either.
that's very true.
Like this is Luke Rockhold deserves that respect. Like you
He
can
does.
say what you want about anyone else on, either of their resumes. Luke Rockhold is by far the more accomplished, more skilled, and obviously bigger
Strikeforce champ.
fighter.
I
Like,
mean,
yeah,
he came in a reigning Strikeforce champ.
Mhm.
He got the bad end of the stick on some fucking UFC matchups with testosterone powered Vitor. So I mean, I think Rockhold is a very, very awesome fighter. Like a lot of people throw him shade because he can come across as a dick
yeah,
in real life. I'm super intrigued by this fight, bro. I don't really even have a prediction for it. I would think that I would favor Perry to get inside and land big shots, but Rockhold might find a way to just use that reach, stand the outside, and box him up. Dude, we just don't know.
yeah. And one thing about Rockhold we've seen in the past is his ability to find people's chin. Also, himself is really good. Like we've seen him drop a lot of really high level guys, and I think that's going to be the difference in this fight. I think that Perry is been in there with guys like Julian Lane and MVP who are naturally going to handle being, bullied in a certain way that just Luke Rockhold will not allow him to do. He's not going to allow him to. He's not his size and his strength is going to stop Perry from keeping Luke Rockhold in that clinch that he loves to be in. Because Luke Rockhold has been stopping that kind of shit against guys who are 185 pounds for fucking years and 205 and all that shit. I think it's going to be a long night for Mike Perry, honestly. I think Rockhold just picks him apart.
Yeah, it's the only path I see to victory is for Perry to get inside and get the KO. But I have a hard time picking against Rockhold too, but I just have this enigma because we don't know. You can't really compare his MMA striking
Yeah.
to this because it's so different. It's
It's a lot
boxing is
more on the
more
outside.
applicable. I mean, you can kind of look at if they were boxing, like a boxer coming over.
Yeah.
Because as I've argued a million times on the show, what we see in the UFC and in mixed martial arts in general, as much as the commentators and everybody wants to call it boxing that they're doing, it's not. Like you can't box. It's not the same thing when you have to watch out for kicks and takedowns. Like you're not approaching it the way they do in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
So Rockhold might be hella better when he's not worried about anything to do with feet or being taken down. He only has to focus on the hands and the upper body. It might open up a level like that dude's so talented. There might be a level that we've never seen.
Could make him the face of this organization.
I'm so excited for this. I don't have a prediction. I have no idea who wins it. I'm not even. Really
taking Rockhold.
I'm leaning Perry on the experience.
I'm taking Rockhold by KO in the third round.
I guess I'll just say Perry by KO. But dude, I really think Rockhold. I don't know, dude.
Either one though, it's a great fight.
I don't see how they fucking. It can't be an awesome matchup. I mean, Jesus Christ. And the co-main is almost as equally good. We don't have the physical size difference, but we've got Eddie Alvarez, who's a little bit older. I mean, he's 39, coming in and facing off against Chad Mendez, who's he's not too far behind him. He's 37. We've got a little bit of a height advantage. 5'9", 5'6". We got a 66-inch reach for Mendez versus 69 for Alvarez. It's really not anything to fucking worry about, I don't think, for either guy. It's not a significant advantage. We've seen Mendez compete in bare knuckle, and he was great.
Yeah, really, really good.
We haven't seen Eddie, but we know he's got hands.
Yeah. And Eddie's been fighting all over the world for the last few years.
He's a fucking underground king.
Yeah.
I think if anybody would adapt to bare knuckle really well, I think fucking Eddie Alvarez would, bro.
And his style is very applicable, I would say.
I really like this fight too, and I have no idea who wins this one either. Because Mendez just looked great.
Yeah,
like if we hadn't seen Mendez yet, I'd be like, I think Alvarez is going to take it. But Mendez looks so fucking good.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the difference also. I think that there's two different ways that both these guys got here. You know what I mean? They both are were top level UFC guys who kind of fell short. Alvarez had a couple rough fights and ends up getting released by the UFC, goes to one. He's had some good fights, not so good ones, nothing that really was ever career damning or anything.
Yeah.
And he's had, I don't know, because it's hard to gauge how good the talent is out there because we don't see it on a normal everyday thing. But I think his activity could be the downfall between him and Mendez because I feel like Mendez is more fresh because he's just kind of been getting jacked. You know what I mean?
Mendez looking big and
he's
powerful,
looking
man.
big, powerful,
Jesus.
and he looked fresh when he fought in his first fight.
Really fast.
Fast as fuck, dude. Fast and crisp with all his punches, and it seemed like he was working a lot on his, just his boxing in general. And I don't know if Eddie's had the same amount of time to be able to really hone those skills yet,
Well, I'm picking Mendez. I'm not mad at whoever wins, but Mendez just looked really good against Fames. And Eddie is, who knows? We just don't know. I mean, that's one of the really fun things about the sport is it's hard to gauge it until we see something in there from these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you just don't know how it translates.
Yeah.
And then
some people freeze, some people fucking just
swim. I mean, Artem Lobov beat fucking Paulie Malignaggi, y'all.
Yeah,
come on. It's not like what you've done
Styles
in other sports
fights.
really doesn't fucking matter in bare knuckle. You just don't know.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like we've talked about many times on the show. It's still such a young sport that there's so many people that fight so many different ways. And some ways work better than others, but it's just all plays out in there.
Yeah.
You would think for it being bare knuckle boxing, that would be kind of some kind of straightforward idea of what you need to do when you're in there, but it still has that same aspect that kind of mixed martial arts has, where there's so many different styles within I think more than in regular boxing because
definitely.
yeah, because like you
There's more
have to.
space to work with.
Not only that, you have to kind of have like a hybrid defensive system that
Oh
you
yeah.
can't have in boxing or the UFC because you're just blocking with these. You know what I mean? Like, it's you have to have a lot more head movement
And
and
with the
like
lack of the large gloves, there's more in the smaller fist size. There's more space for punches to slip in.
Yep.
Where normally your big glove would block it. You can't parry blows quite as easily. Like Floyd's fucking Philly shell. Good luck.
Yeah.
In bare knuckle. I mean, because all that space is not there. You can't
Yeah.
make this fucking shield out of your stuff.
And also, it's like your offense also could be your downfall. Like, what happens if, like, just in these fights, what happens if one of these guys in the first exchange catches you in a weird spot in your face and fucking breaks his hand? Like, that changes fights, and it happens a lot in BKFC. People break their hands in BKFC all the fucking time.
Yeah, they need. It's hard to know how to regulate your punches. People don't know you can punch way harder when you're wearing even MMA's 4-ounce gloves, and certainly boxing's larger gloves. It allows for you to really put power there that in real life you can't because you'll break your fucking shit.
And that's why someone like Nate Diaz would be so fucking good at BKFC because he knows how to do that. He knows how to pepper people with fucking jabs and all kinds of shit like that. Like, he would be so fucking sick in BKFC.
Yeah. I agree. Well, are we both thinking Mendez takes this?
Yeah, I think Mendez takes it.
Me too. Now we've got a real banger here. The flyweight championship bout, Christine Faria versus Beck Rawlings. And we tried multiple times to get Christine back on the show. We spoke to her several times, but it was really hard with her training schedule right now, preparing for this big event to get things together. But we're looking to have her on tentatively. We've got her scheduled for after this thing, if we can make it work. But I don't even see competition here.
Yeah, I think she runs through Beck Rawlings.
For Christine. She's going to whoop that fucking ass, bro.
Yeah.
Beck is bitten off way more than she can chew. No disrespect to her. She was kind of a pioneer in bare knuckle here. You know, she was the first champ. She got the Police Gazette belt. Yeah. You know, then she left for a while and came back and lost to Britain, and now here she is. I think it's an important fight for Christine's resume, and I think that she's
gonna check it off.
I can't see nothing like this coming. Like, Christine's a killer. She's an absolute killer. She's gonna swarm out there.
Yeah, I think she's gonna come out and put her away early.
Yeah, I bet this doesn't go past the third.
Yeah, I would think he goes past the second. I think she whoops her up in the first, and then puts her away in the second.
She's a very intelligent fighter. She doesn't. It's not like we're talking about. She goes out and just swings wild. She's smart. She's fierce. Super well conditioned.
Yeah,
and she's just fresh. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's the fresher fighter. She already handled Britain Hart. I mean, if you use BKFC math, you know, bare knuckle math, you know, she beat Britain. Britain beat Beck. Yeah, doesn't really mean anything, but it kind of does in a way. Yeah, it's just another point in her favor. But I think Christine is going to just come out and show absolute dominance here on the biggest stage that's ever been given to her, and I think she's going to shine. Yeah, she's going to get on the mic afterwards and fucking shine, and I'm fucking happy for her, and I know you are too. And we're looking forward to speaking with the champ after a big fucking win. Yep. The rest of this card is solid. We've even got Chris Camozzi, who he's been doing all right in BKFC. You know what I mean? He's got a win over Bubba McDaniel. Now he's fighting, dude's name is Dan Spone, who's making his debut in BKFC. But Chris is another guy that I think just takes to it well. And if you scroll down the card here, we don't have time to talk about everything on this card, but it's super solid. Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of those like prelim bare knuckle fights sometimes are just straight bangers because the guys are just hungry as fuck. So they're just like they're going out there just risking it all the whole fight. They're fucking trying to put people away.
Yeah, it's like you get to see a wide variety of styles in a BKFC event because of the youth of the sport in general. Yeah. You know, I mean, bare knuckle's been around forever. Yes, it's one of the oldest, but I'm saying it's resurgence here. People are still figuring out styles. So when these prelims, you'll see these raw, newer guys that a lot of it's just they go out and they just wing. They just fucking they just start flying, throwing shots at each other, and it's over in the first round or two.
Yeah.
because they just stand there and trade blows.
Mhm.
And you don't see a lot of maybe the technical side. That as the card progresses and the fighters start having more and more experience and more consequences to divisions and to titles.
Yeah.
You see these a lot of different styles finding success and a lot of real high level fighting.
Yeah, for sure.
So don't be fooled if you tune into like the free YouTube events and you see a couple guys just standing there fucking trading blows. Like that's fun, but that's not all bare knuckle is.
Mhm.
Like there's a lot of skill here, and it's fun to watch it continue to evolve.
Mhm. I agree. I think that about wraps the show up for today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully, next episode we'll be able to sit down with Christine and talk about how BKFC 41 went, and of course, we'll be going to talk about the results of that card.
Yep.
I'm real curious to see if these fighters, regardless of who wins, let's wrap it up with this. Mike Perry with a win, we know he's continuing, or a loss, he's staying in BKFC. Does Rockhold stick around with a victory?
With the victory? Yeah.
Because wasn't he originally scheduled for a title shot?
Yeah, he was going to fight Mendez for the title.
Dave Mendez, who we've also had on the show. You can check out
Yeah.
that interview, everybody.
And then Mike Perry like stepped in the negotiations and was like, nah, you got to fight me first.
We need to have a number one contender bout. You can just come in and steal my fucking title shot. He was like, I'll fight you.
Yeah.
Which kudos to Perry. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So I think Rockhold does stick around with the victory because he has a chance at a title shot.
Mhm.
What about Eddie Alvarez? With a loss or victory, does he leave or stay?
I don't know. Eddie's he's one of those guys that he's not really trying to bounce around. He fights out all his contracts for sure. Like you never really see him like ask out to get out of it.
I'm guessing these are probably one-offs, but who knows?
So?
We don't know that information. I'm just making an educated guess here.
We'll see.
Now Mendez with a victory, I think he stays. He's already showed that he wants to.
Yeah.
And he's sniffing at the title shot right there.
Yeah, I think Mendez with a win gets Palomino next.
Yeah, I think so as well. With a loss, though, I think he might be like, okay, I'm good.
Maybe.
I say it's 50-50 he retires with a loss.
It really just depends on his want to fight bare knuckle. Because if it's like a close like split decision loss, they could like run it back, and I don't think he retires. But like if he gets KO'd, maybe.
I'm looking forward to it either way, dog. It's so much fun, dude. Fucking this is one of the highlights of the year so far.
Yeah, this is a fucking banger for sure.
All right, that's the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We want to thank Binoid for sponsoring the Weed of the Week segment. You can follow links on our website as well as on our streaming platforms and the video on YouTube that will get you 15% on Binoid products, 15% off. So that's going to be on Delta 9 THC products and CBD products and a few other items as well. That and a whole bunch of info is in one spot.
SWATMA.com, or you can head over there and buy this t-shirt right here. Support the podcast. And then head over to Instagram and follow us at SWATMA Podcast.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.